You do. Okay. So if you are ready to go, let me take myself off camera because nobody needs that recorded. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. So we are ready. Okay. Everyone who is a member knows that Toastmasters is where leaders are made. That statement is only true, however, when members are active in their Toastmasters participation and strategic with their Toastmasters membership. One such member is our guest speaker for today, Cassandra, D.I.V.A of Dialog, Lee. She started her corporate career as an administrative professional and left it as a mid-level manager because she stepped into district leadership. She formed her entrepreneurial endeavors around her passion for teaching through speaking because she stepped into district leadership. She became club sponsor and club mentor of an award-winning Toastmasters club, plus the first district director of a brand new district, this one, all because she stepped into district leadership. Today, this two-time distinguished Toastmaster will provide you with a high-level overview of district leadership roles in which you can step into the next club year. In addition, she will answer your questions and provide you with resources to help you step into district leadership now or one day in the immediate future. Please help me welcome Cassandra, D.I.V.A of Dialog, Lee, with Step into District Leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. District Director. Fellow members and guests, I would like to start my presentation by sharing a quote with you. This is a quote that comes from a resource that many district leaders are very familiar with, and that is the District Leadership Handbook. The quote says, "As a district leader, you are a part of Toastmasters International, an organization with a noble mission to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Serving as a district leader is a great responsibility and an exciting opportunity. Your term of office is filled with chances for you to renew your perspective, practice teamwork, and develop your capacity to translate values and strategies into productive action. In order to lead your team effectively, you must first understand your role within the organization as a district leader. Having a clear understanding of your responsibilities and the appropriate procedures for the role that you're in is essential to the success of the district. Once you know your responsibilities, you can then cohesively work with your team and to your fellow district leaders in order to be successful." Now, that is a quote that I mentioned that comes from the District Leadership Handbook. I believe that quote helps to set the tone for the presentation that I have planned for you today. I want you to have a high-level overview of the roles and responsibilities of the various district leadership. I also want you to give a round of applause to our team of reporters today, from Valerie Smith to Christine Gomez, Dion Legging, Greg Thompson, Joe McCarty. Each of them touched on some of the various roles that I'll talk about in this presentation. They gave you some in-depth information. I'll give you that overview, yet I want all of you to know, no matter why you came today, no matter what prompted you for being in this session is going to remind you that district leadership can be very rewarding, as well as an experience that you can take with you for the rest of your life. Now, speaking of your life, how much of your life have you dedicated thus far to Toastmasters International? Inside of the chat box, let me know, how long have you been a member of Toastmasters? When did you actually join? You can put in the month and the year in which you joined. You can say the number of years you've been around. Let me know your experience. I know for me, I joined in January of 1998. Good, I see 2014, 2017, 20.5 years. Yes, I see someone that's been around just as long as I have. Yes, look at all those number of years in which someone has been involved. That gives me the perspective that we all have experience. Good, good. And you can keep those years coming. Here's another question I have for you. For this answer, place it inside of the chat box as well, yet let me know what brought you to Toastmasters. I have behind me where leaders are made. That's exactly the reason why I joined Toastmasters, in order to develop my leadership abilities. I see some of you joined in order to enhance your confidence. You got inspired by other people who inspired you to join or either volunteered you to join. Yet you joined Toastmasters for professional networking, for friendship, for fun, for the opportunity to enhance your comfort level with small talk, professional development, personal empowerment, passion for communication. Look at all of these different reasons. Each of us joined Toastmaster for a reason. We joined this organization to become a better person in some way, shape, or form. And while we've been involved in the organization for growth, I do believe that we've also been involved in giving back. Have you actually given back to the club where you joined? Have you given back to the district in some way? If you have, just type a Y in the chat box for yes, or type an N in the chat box for no. Meaning, if you've ever served as a club leader, as a volunteer, you were on a committee, you participated as a timer or facilitator, or you competed in a contest. Did you notice I said you competed in a contest? That's also a way to give back, because you're helping other members to learn from proficient speakers. And as I'm looking at the chat box, I'm looking at all of these yeses. You have provided your service, your talent, and you've given your effort in giving back to this organization. District leadership is another way to give back. Thanks, Trish. I love that. Yes, you have. I'm glad to know that speech contest puts you in that category. We sometimes think we need to have a title behind our name in order to give back to this organization. Yet when we are growing as when we grow as a speaker, a communicator, and or a leader, those three ways, we are giving back to the organization. We start at the club level normally, yet my presentation today will be about district leadership. Since I'm going to share with you my screen, and I'm going to share with you a presentation in PowerPoint, what I'm going to do is to make certain that I first, and let me get to where I really want to be, I want to make certain that I let you know how I will engage with you as the screen is being shared. A moment ago, I was able to share to see rather, the actual chat box. While the presentation is going, I won't see that. I want to focus on giving you the high level overview of the presentation. Therefore, if questions come up, I do want you to put them in the chat box, yet I'm going to look at them after the PowerPoint has been ended. So that means when I stop sharing the PowerPoint, I'll then focus on the chat box. Now, here's something that I do want you to do though with the chat box. Say for instance, I'm going through the slides, something comes up, you have a question about it. I want you to put question before your question. So put the phrase question in all caps, put that colon, tell me what that question is. Therefore, when I stop the screen share and I go back to the chat box, I'll more quickly see what your questions are, and I'll be able to engage with your question and provide you with the answers. As I said, this is going to be primarily a high-level overview of the various roles in district leadership. It is intended in this presentation to at least make you aware of what they are. Some of what I'll say will complement every speaker you heard from today, yet other points that I'll share with you, you may never have heard about before. I will also make sure after I answer your questions that I provide you with a series of links, various resources that you'll be able to use in order to gain more information for me. Now, if that is okay with you, go ahead and give me a reaction icon of a thumbs up, or you can visually do it for me inside of the screen with your thumb. Great, I'm seeing those thumbs. That lets me know you are okay with what I've shared so far. Great. With that being said, let me share with you now insight about district leadership roles. And these are district level leadership roles that I'm taking from the District Leadership Handbook. The District Leadership Handbook lets us know there are approximately 8 roles that they deem to be the most essential roles for the district. Now, I say they put it that way. However, we know those are not the only roles that are needed. You'll notice with the diagram, district director, program quality director, club growth director, public relations manager, administration manager, finance manager, division director, and area director are those 8 primary roles. As a matter of fact, guest, those of you who are not a DEC member, the individuals who are on the screen, and I want you to take a look at the gallery, see who is actually present, because all of the roles here are being represented by the individuals that are on the screen. Our administration manager, Mark Moschino, actually did roll call, and he called the names of the individuals that were in these roles. These are the essential 8 roles for the district. There are, though, a few additional roles. Although in the leadership handbook, these are known as 4 additional leadership roles, my presentation is going to expose you to other leadership roles as well. The district leadership handbook talks about the immediate past district director, webmaster, parliamentarian, and logistics manager. And I'll talk a little bit more about those 4 in addition to other roles, and I'll let you know some insight about them, starting with the fact that many of the roles that are listed in the District Leadership Handbook are either elected roles, appointed roles, or committee roles. Elected roles simply means that you vote for the individual to hold that role. Voting typically takes place every year at the annual conference. This year, April 24th, for District 103 will be an opportunity for you to vote for members who are running for the roles of district director, program quality director, club growth director, and division directors. When I served as program quality director for District 30 and District 103's district director, I had to be voted or elected into those 2 roles. Appointed roles are the roles where someone asked you to serve in the role and then you get appointed by the, I want to say the current district director, or in some cases, the incoming district director. What that means is, say for instance, you want to serve as an area director for next year. Well, the incoming district director for next year would be the individual to appoint you in the role. Our district director, Joe McCarty, had great things to say about me before he did the introduction. Yet I have to tell you, I have the title this year as training director because he appointed me to that role. So appointed positions and elected positions exist in District 103, yet so do committee positions. Anyone on the annual conference committee right now, did anyone help out yet with a speech contest at an area level or a division level? I'm only naming those 2 committees because I know those are very active, yet those are not the only committees, and I'll share more about those with you in a moment. Categories of district leadership roles, again, they will either be elected roles, appointed roles, or committee roles. Speaking of the roles, now this is a sample of the actual district application, or I should say the Distinguished Toastmaster application. This is how you will apply for your Distinguished Toastmaster Award or that DTM award. You're going to notice it's a 2-page application. On the application, you have the ability to highlight some of the roles in which you've served. Many of the roles that I'm going to talk about will give you direct credit for your DTM award. other roles I'm going to mention will give you indirect credit for your DTM award. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as I go along. And speaking of giving you some insight, did you happen to know that you now must do a DTM project, a Distinguished Toastmaster project? Oh, yes. Some of you might not realize that. That's a little bit of a sidebar conversation that I'm providing you here, that you will have the opportunity to do what's known as a DTM project. It's on that first page. I'll talk a little bit more about that offline. Yet, if you have never heard of that, be sure to ask me a question about that, because I recently discovered there's a process for getting your DTM now, since we're inside of pathways, and it requires that you do a DTM or Distinguished Toastmaster project, not just an HBL project. Okay, but I digress. Let's get into these district leadership roles, and let's start with the ones in which you must be voted into. Now, I mentioned on April 24th, District 103 will have its annual conference, and we will be electing the individuals in these various roles. District director is the manager of the district. Joe McCarty currently is making certain that he is managing the day-to-day operations of 103, the finances of 103, as well as the teams. You have already noticed his team is fairly large, and that team will remain large because there's a lot that has to be done with the district. Yet district director is the one that maintains that. Program quality director, that's the role that Greg Thompson is in. That's the role that actually Toastmasters International gave me an award for when I was a program quality director for District 30. And the program quality director role is the one that's responsible for training club officers. It's the role that's responsible for making certain our clubs are focused on club quality. It's also the role that assists with member retention. When I provide you with the link for the district leadership handbook, I'll tell you, you will have more insight on both those roles. Yet keep in mind, club growth director is also in that leadership handbook, and that's a role that's responsible for growing clubs, building clubs, maintaining our membership. Dion Legging right now is serving in that role, and you already noticed that she had a team of individuals to assist her. Yet what I learned from my experience of being program quality director, what I learned from my experience of being actually the club retention chair, that is, club growth director is a vital role for the district. Districts exist in order to make certain that we are building clubs and supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. First part of that is building clubs. That's what the club growth director will do. So will, though, division directors. See, division directors are the team managers of the areas. They work along with the area directors. They help to support all the clubs within their division in making sure those clubs are achieving their goals, and they're providing their members with a club environment that helps them to achieve their goals. The division directors, I like to say, are the cheerleaders for the area directors. They are the resources and the support people for the area directors. They are that shoulder to lean on, that ear in which to listen, as well as the person that provides that advice. The division directors, along with the club growth director, program quality director, and district director, all form that first line of leadership for our district. And each of these roles require that you're voted into them. Let's look at the remaining 8, though. The remaining 8, and remember I showed you initially that diagram, so I'm looking at the rest of the roles that were in the diagram, yet these 4 roles are actually appointed roles. Now, these are the roles where, again, someone might ask you to actually serve in the role, such as currently right now, all area directors should be asking club officers to serve as next year's area director. Hint, 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 meaning area directors more than likely are looking for their successors. You are here, some of you as guests today, because your area director encouraged you to take on their role for next year, meaning step into the area director role for next year. Area directors are the liaisons for the clubs. They are the liaison between the district to the club. I say in many respects, some clubs learn about the district because of the area director. Area directors help to support the clubs. They understand the needs of the clubs and they help the clubs to become successful. If you think area director is a role that you want to do, let our leadership team know so that way they can help to position you for that role for next year. Public relations manager, we've already seen that's the role that's being done this year by Valerie Smith. Her and her team are exposing District 103 to the world. Yet as public relation manager, it's not only about telling the world that we exist, it's also about reminding our members that we exist as well. Valerie in her presentation talked about campaigns they're doing. They're sending out messages on a weekly basis to let the members know what's going on in District 103. That's what the public relations manager role is all about, and it's an appointed role in which you can serve. The administration manager role is also an appointed role, and this is the role that helps with making sure we have history about the district. This is the role that will make sure we have meeting minutes on file, we're keeping track of what's been done, what's been voted upon, and in many respects, the administration managers do help to save the history of our organization. You saw Mark Moschino in that role earlier today. Finance manager, that's our last appointed role. This is the role that is making sure the money is spent wisely. Actually, that is spent correctly. You see, let me tell you, you know how Toastmasters International is. Toastmasters International has a set of guidelines and protocols that we must follow as district leaders in spending the money on behalf of the district. The finance manager is making sure that's being done. And today we heard from the current finance manager, and that's Christine Gomez. She provided you with the report. Did you remember hearing her give you dollars and cents? Yes, that's usually what they're doing because they're keeping their eyes on the budgets and they're making sure that the money is being spent correctly. Now, what I've done so far is I've walked you through the 8 roles that make up this beautiful, colorful circle. And these are all of the roles that are inside of the district leadership handbook that are seen to be the 8 prominent district leadership roles. 4 of them you are elected into. 4 of them you are appointed into. Yet all of them are roles that you can one day step into. Yet those aren't the only roles. Let me now take you through those additional roles. Remember I said there were some roles in which you could get credit for, and there are some that you will indirectly get credit for them. The 8 roles that I mentioned a moment ago, the ones that are on this circle, these appear on the DTM application. If you're wanting to earn your Distinguished Toastmaster Award, you will need to have served in some of these roles, or at least one of these roles. They are on that DTM application. These additional leadership roles, though, are not. Yet you can still get credit for these. If you are working in pathways, and say, for instance, in your level 3, your level 4, or your level 5, you may find an opportunity in which to perform these roles and get credit for the work that you do with the role. Now, with immediate past district director, typically you only serve in that role if you've ever been a district director. The individual who was district director last year becomes the district director or the immediate past district director. So for instance, when I became immediate past district director, I was the advisor for Don Williams. When Don Williams became the immediate past district director, he was the advisor for Ivory Gwynn. Ivory Gwynn was the district director last year, and that's why he is the immediate past district director for Joe McCarty. As district directors and past district directors, we serve as advisors to one another, or we serve as advisors rather to the district director and the district leadership team. And I'm thinking right now in my head, I have to give a shout out to someone who's on the call today who joined the session. He and I worked together to do one of the first Step into District leadership sessions, and he was also my advisor. Everyone, if you can, give a plug in the chat box to Mike Rafferty, give a thumbs up or something for him. Let him know how much I am appreciating him, and he knows that I tell him often. Stepping into district leadership, I remember when I was Mike's area or division governor, and this was years ago. Remember, Mike and I have been around for over 20 years with this organization. I was in a district leadership role when I said to Mike, I think you would make a great area director, or at the time it was called area governor. Mike's asked the question, what is it? What does that mean? And, I shared some information with him. And little did I know that encouragement to Mike would lead him to become one of the few international directors with Toastmasters International. Did you notice I paused so I can make sure I got that correctly? If you see his title, and usually when I put his name on something, I will say Mike Rafferty, DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, PDG, Past District Governor, and PID, Past International Director. Mike went beyond the district. So one day we'll need to do a special session with him to learn how do you move beyond the district into leadership. Yet notice it then moved into the district, and then he went on to international. And Mike is still an advisor. He's a past district leader who we love. He's always stepping in to help District 103. And that's because he's doing what past district directors and past district governors do, serve as advisors. Yet that was my sidebar moment. You guys now understand why I don't want to call us old heads, but if you're into house music, you know what I mean when I say old heads. We get in there, we work it out, we bring the music, and we keep things going. So let me move on. Let me move us forward so that way I don't digress on telling you about these leadership roles where you can indirectly get credit. Now, remember, DTM Award, that application for your Distinguished Toastmaster Award, is going to allow you to get credit anytime you serve as an area director, a division director, a program quality director, or any of those elected and appointed roles. Well, you can also be appointed the webmaster. That's the individual that's making sure our website is being maintained. That's the individual that's ensuring the website content is up to date. This is the individual that will assist District 103 with being current, being relevant, and can be found through technology. Websites are important. We have one as a district. We want to keep it. Therefore, if you have technology know-how and you understand the building and maintaining of websites, let us know. Let us know. As you heard today, Valerie talked about that role. We are looking for a webmaster for next year. Logistics manager is a role that assists with facility management. So setting up the room, setting the hospitality, making certain that our guests and our members feel welcome. Logistics manager is similar to a sergeant at arms at the club level, yet now that we're virtual, logistics managers some of them are serving as Zoom masters, yet we need them. And if you think this would be a role that you want to be in, whether we're face-to-face or virtual, let us know, because this would give you credit in a project in Pathways. Parliamentarian. Now, let me tell you about the parliamentarian. This is a role where you need to know parliamentary procedures. Parliamentary procedures is a language in and of itself, isn't it? For those of you who have that experience, you know exactly what I mean. District 103 had a parliamentarian, a member that came from my club, who served as parliamentarian for 2 years. Can you believe it? She did it for 2 years. Not only did she do it for 2 years, yet she took 2 years to study for the role before she got appointed. She took the role of parliamentarian very serious, and we did a phenomenal job that first year with keeping things in order, understanding the bylaws of the organization, and handling anything that came up. So if you're interested in Robert's Rules of Order and you would love to serve as the parliamentarian for next year, let us know. The audit committee chair, now that's the individual that's going to work with the committee to make certain every 6 months, they take a look at the district books to ensure the finances have been spent correctly. If there are any issues, they will let us know. The other reason I love Mike Rafferty is because Mike Rafferty has served as audit committee chair. He was there to ensure that District 103 set into place several different procedures that would help the next year. I love Christine Gomez because in that first year of District 103, Christine Gomez, I met her because she was on the audit committee. Oh, I tell you, boy, the audit committees both years make certain that District 30 or District 103 rather, because we were no longer part of District 30, but they made sure with us being a different district coming from District 30 that we were following what worked for us as a new district. District 103 has new protocols in place because of our audit committee chair and the audit committee members. Yes, shout out to LaShonda Milton. That's right. She's the audit committee chair this year. Look at that, Minty, yes. Awesome. Continuing on, I want you to know about the district leadership committee, the DLC. The DLC chair and the DLC committee typically works together to ensure that we are able to find candidates to serve in district leadership roles for the next year. All of the candidates that are up for election on April 24th were selected and slated, I should say, slated by the district leadership chair and the district leadership committee. Another committee, and we actually heard from this committee today, the alignment committee chair. Remember, District 103 has a set of clubs within areas, within divisions, within the district. Every year, the alignment gets changed based on how many clubs we gain and how many clubs we lose. Today, Mark Moschino gave us the alignment committee report to let us know exactly which clubs got moved, why they got moved, what's happening with the district alignment for next year. And that is done every single year. If this is something that you're interested in doing, definitely let us know. That way we can have you on the list. And then last but not least, here on this slide is the annual conference chair. And we heard from her with her report. She's been working on this conference for like 2 years, thanks to the pandemic, right? Yet the annual conference chair is someone that works along with the program quality director, and they ensure that the conference is designed in a way that will benefit our members, and they follow protocols according to Toastmasters International. And of course, they get advice and they follow guidance from the district director as well. Yet the annual conference is something that happens every single year. And if this is a role in which you would like to serve, let us know so we can have you on the list. Now, I mentioned here on this slide, non-credit roles that were primarily roles that were chair roles. Now I would like to look at those committees that support them. Public relations team. Valerie did a great job of giving a shout out to her team, the individuals that are currently working with her. So I'm thinking about Courtney Jones and Lee Hopkins and Dr. Alice Ann. They're each assisting, even Sanchit, they're working with her in a variety of ways. Remember, she talked about LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and constant contact and da 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 da. Now I say that because her list actually expanded today with the number of individuals they're looking to add to the PR team. Public relations is important. If you have a skill of spreading the word and you have an interest in using social media and you want to make certain that our members know what's happening in District 103 and the world can learn about 103 as well, join the public relations team. The audit committee, this is a great committee for any of you that you're okay with numbers. You have a finance background. You want to make certain that the funds that the district is using are being used appropriately, that the funds that the protocol that is set to ensure that the funds are spent appropriately are in place. So the audit committee, as I mentioned, I met Christine Gomez initially as a member of the audit committee. Look at what happened 1 year later. She ended up becoming the finance manager for the district. So it definitely can be a springboard for you into something else. The alignment committee, Mark actually gave a shout out to Dushan Mosley and thanked Dushan for his wisdom and his knowledge of District 103 for helping to make the right decisions in where to move clubs, which areas to minimize, and how to grow different areas in other divisions, meaning it takes work to understand about our clubs and within our areas and our divisions. If the alignment committee is something that you would be interested in serving on next year, definitely let us know that, because we are always looking for the expertise. And if you've been an area director before or a division director before, alignment committee could be the next step for you. The district leadership committee, yes, the district leadership chair typically selects the individuals who are on that committee, yet know that the DLC works together to find those officers that will be elected for the following year. And speaking of the DLC will reach out to you sometimes personally and say, hey, listen, you will make a great candidate for, and if they ever ask you to submit an application, think about doing so, because they are asking you to step into district leadership. The last committee that I have here on this slide is all about the annual conference. You've already heard from Valerie Smith today. The conference, being such a huge event and project, needs a lot of hands on deck. So we need the support, we need the help. If you're ever interested in helping out with the annual conference, let us know. Now I'm about to sidebar here because I'm thinking, and I didn't put this on the list, and that's simply because of the TLIs. TLIs, Toastmaster Leadership Institutes, are another way in which you can assist. I love the fact that Gary put in the chat box about judges and timers and ballot counters, meaning a speech contest. We need volunteers for those as well. So again, these are a few roles. You may not get Distinguished Toastmaster credit for them. However, you can receive credit for a leadership project inside of Pathways. And let me touch on one final set of committees. I saved this list for last. You want to know why? I think this is a list that really helps to emphasize our district. These are the committees that help to support our club growth director. And I'll tell you this, when I was program quality director, I said the club growth director, they were like an octopus. There were arms everywhere, so much that needed to be done. They needed to get so much done. They needed to have so many hands on deck. The club growth director role is very expansive because that is the role that helps to ensure a district exists in the first place. Building new clubs, getting club leads, making sure clubs can be supported when they are new. That's what the club extension chair, the club extension committee, and the club sponsor committee are all about. Once those leads become new clubs and the new clubs officially charter, they now need support. They need help, and they need help to ensure that they can last for at least the next 6 months or more. And that's where the club quality chair and the club mentor committee comes in handy. Those are individuals that will work with those new clubs for at least 6 months to get them on their feet and to make sure they have everything they need in order to be successful. I'm a part of the WAO Toastmaster Club because I was initially the club sponsor and the club mentor. Now, I was only supposed to be there for 6 months, and guess what? It's been 16 years. So you never know what serving as a club sponsor or serving as a club mentor can do for you, yet it is a role that you can use to gain credit in Pathways and gain credit towards your DTM, because these will count. They are on the DTM application. Yay! Speaking of yay, club retention chair. Now, I mentioned earlier, this was one of the roles I was appointed to when I was in District 30. And it is one of the roles that helped me to understand that that district club growth director role has so many arms. You're reaching everywhere. You have so much to do. See, the club retention chair focuses in on supporting the clubs that are in trouble. A club that has low membership, a club that's on the verge of closing could potentially turn around. The club retention chair and the club coach committee are the individuals that help to support those struggling clubs. Any clubs with membership of 12 or fewer usually is assigned a club retention chair. Now, I'll tell you this from the experience of having worked as a club retention chair. We need you. We need you. We don't sometimes have enough members who are available to help our struggling clubs. If you ever want to give back and you don't really have the time to serve at any of the other roles, please consider becoming a club coach, a club mentor, or a club sponsor. Now that new club new okay, let me say this slower. Club new source research chair. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Yet let me tell you, that's the role that Don Williams is in this year. He's the one that's helping Dion Legging right now with leads, with researching information that could potentially lead to new clubs in District 103. It's that behind the scene roles that keeps their eye on the goal, their ear to the pavement, and a strategy up their sleeve to help District 30 or District 103. I keep saying 30 because that's where we came from, right? District 103, it keeps District 103 on the map. And speaking of being on the map, there are lots of clubs that are on the map of Toastmasters International, and you can visit each and every one of them in which you have time to visit. See, District 103 is a district because I say District 30 gave birth to us. District 30 eventually became too big, and that's why District 103 became a district. We became a district because we grew. Our clubs start to learn new information and apply different things, and membership started to grow. And part of the way they were learning new things and helping their clubs to grow is because we had a club ambassador program in District 30. We brought that same idea with us in District 103 to ensure that we can continue to grow. Now, earlier Dion mentioned, if you are interested in serving as a club ambassador, reach out to Dushan Mosley, the club ambassador program chair. The information is on the District 103 website. All the details of what you do and how you submit forms to Dushan is listed. Yet keep this in mind about that club ambassador program. It helps you to gain new ideas about club retention and club building that will help you with your clubs. And I want to say this is because when you do club ambassador, it's more from a membership standpoint. So when you visit other clubs, you really find out tips on member retention and member recruitment. So member retention and member recruitment, which in essence helps the district with member building or club building and club retention. So notice that everything is somewhat tying together there. Whew, did I give you a lot so far? I know I feel like I'm running out of breath with everything that I've given you. Yet I did say I was giving you a high level overview. I wanted to at least expose you to the information, present you with some of the roles, let you know how some of them help you with earning your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Many of you are on that track and you want to receive your DTM award. Many of the roles I've talked about are needed for that DTM award. Some of those roles, though, you can complete for your pathways levels. So whether you get credit for the leadership role in which you serve at the district level for a DTM, or you get credit for that role because you use it as an assignment, a project in your level 3, your level 4, or your level 5 in pathways, the choice will be yours. Yet the idea is anytime you step into district leadership, see where you can actually get credit for it. Now, I mentioned I would provide you with a list of resources. These are a few of the links that I'm going to place inside of the chat box for you in a moment. Yet remember, I use the District Leadership Handbook to primarily walk you through everything. I want you to consider that the District Leadership Handbook is like your Bible. It tells you everything you need to know about district leadership roles. Some of the other resources that I'll provide you, such as the district leader competency, the district leader strategies, and even the district recognition program resources, those will go more in depth for you on requirements. Some of them will give you strategies and others will give you information on if you serve as an area and division director, these are ways in which you can become distinguished. The district leader tools, now that's a resource on the Toastmasters International website. It's a link that will allow you to access almost everything, actually everything that I'm sharing with you right now. It'll give you access to it. And of course, I'm making certain that you have that Distinguished Toastmaster Award application because I want you to use it as your checklist for everything that you're doing from this day forward. You can now earn a Distinguished Toastmaster Award in as little as 2 years, a minimum of 2 years. You can have your DTM, or as much as 4 years. You might have noticed that on that flyer I shared a moment ago, 2 to 4 years. Listen, I have 2 Distinguished Toastmaster Awards, and both of them took me 10 years to earn. I'm not ashamed. I'm not sad, but I'm just letting you know the difference. I cannot wait until this time next year when I have my 3rd DTM, count them 3, and I'm going to have my 3rd one from Pathways in as less time that it took me in the traditional program. So yes, I want you to have that DTM application. And as I'm closing out for you, I want you to also have this insight. And this insight comes from the district strategies guide that I just showed you a moment ago. And that is this phrase: serving as a district leader provides you a great opportunity to serve the members of your district while developing your own leadership skills through new insights and experiences. Whenever you serve as a club leader, you gain insight. Whenever you serve as a club leader, you develop your leadership skills. Yet when you step into district leadership, oh, do you gain even more insight? A lot of that insight is going to be with you first. Other forms of insight you're going to get about you as a professional, ways that you can take what you're learning and use it in your career. And most importantly, you're going to learn valuable skills in leadership, management, supervision that you'll take with you wherever you go. I want you to consider stepping into district leadership. Make certain that you think about the role that could be best for you. And I want you to take on that role, whether it's an elected role next year, an appointed role next year, or a committee role for next year. Think about which role in which you could best serve that could benefit you. And that's what I want you to tell us about. So everyone, it has been a pleasure to share with you this high-level overview of stepping into district leadership. I am now going to stop sharing my screen. Therefore, I can look at the chat box and look for any questions that you may have. But before I do that, I am going to officially defer back over to our district director, and he and I will go through the Q&A together. Mr. District Director, Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let's everybody give Cassandra a round of applause. Round of applause. We'll give a second for the applause to come in so you can soak it in, Cassandra. Because, you know, this is the first time, Cassandra, you've ever gotten this kind of applause for anything you've done, of course. Yes, you know. So we want to make sure you soak it in. So yes, anyone have questions for Cassandra on her presentation about anything that she gave, or any sort of follow-up questions regarding that? Or do you have anything for me in relation to what she said? So let's start with anyone. Do we have any questions in the chat first?
Joe, I think there was a question and I'm just backtracking. I might have passed it. Okay, I found it. What are the challenges or opportunities in the new normal for any of the leadership roles? Wow, I think that's a great question that comes from Banu. And I think that there are many different challenges that some of them we may not actually know until we get there. And there are also good opportunities that come up as well. Banu, I'm pausing because I'm thinking, challenges and opportunities would really be dependent upon which leadership role we're referring to. Of course, the most immediate challenge is, will we remain virtual? Or will we become face-to-face? Will we go back to face-to-face? And will that take us back into how we used to do roles? Meaning area directors, for instance, used to do area visits face-to-face. Well, last year we had everything virtual, with May 1st being a deadline that I'm understanding the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago is getting ready to open the world up again for us here in the city. What will that look like for area directors in the new club year? Will they be doing virtual visits or will they be doing face-to-face visits? That's a challenge and potentially an opportunity all in and of itself. So Banu, as I'm answering the question, you're noticing I'm not answering it with a very specific answer because I think that's going to be varied based on the different roles. And it really does depend on what will happen citywide, statewide, and also within the organization with our roles for next year. Yet we need to be flexible. I think the opportunity there is to make certain that we are flexible. No matter what decisions are made, be prepared with any role that you decide to take on to either perform it virtually or to flex first half of the year doing it virtually and move into face-to-face if needed.
Well, if I could just expand on
Yeah.
that for a second, Cassandra. So, um, you know, the plan, for just as a point of reference, so the rest of this year we're going to continue virtual, and we're not going to meet in person just because of logistics and such a short time frame. But I know once after the elections occur and the new leadership team has been elected, there will be discussions on some planning on how meetings may work in the future. And just from my point of view, I believe that an idea of, if we were to meet in person, that a hybrid option will probably have to be in place, just because of making sure that some may not be comfortable meeting in person and not make it a requirement. So I can just tell you, as a leadership team this year, we're looking at ways to prepare for that next year, knowing that we will have some sort of a combination. And I know clubs also will be having probably a combination too, having maybe one meeting a month in person, one online, maybe all hybrid. I think there's a lot of options. So I think, to Cassandra's point, yes, I think there's a lot to be determined. Having said that, though, one thing is that if you have an idea for a role that maybe it wasn't mentioned on here, that bring it up. Bring it up to me, and then we'll have a transition period with the new group and the current group starting May 1st. And those are ideas that can be considered as we plan the new year with the new leadership group. So, and just as a aside with that, the gurus this year, that was an idea that we had to add. The district chief judge was an idea that I saw other districts have, and we implemented. And then Gary took that role and made it a whole committee. So there are opportunities. Training director, we formalized that role this year. Somebody who you may have heard from today is in charge of that. So it's one of those things where there are opportunities that, if you see an opportunity that, hey, the district might benefit from having blank, either because you bring it to the table, or maybe it's an idea that you want to learn something, whatever you want to do. If you have an idea, let's bring it up. The district is in a very, and I know I'm going on here, Cassandra, but the district is in a very strong spot right now, and it's a very exciting time. And there are, with technology and with opportunities and work life and in Toastmasters life, like, there are things that, if you want to learn, great. If you want to use your skills to help us, great. If there's something that you're like, gee, wouldn't it be great if the district had this, bring it up. That's how these roles got created. That's how Gary is in his role. That's how Sandra Washington's chief guru. That's how Cassandra's training director. That's how these things happen, is because we had an idea, we talked about it, we tried it. So if you have ideas and you didn't see it on that list, It's not just limited to that. Bring it up, we'll consider it. It'll be up to the new administration to determine if they can want to implement it, but don't be shy and bring those ideas up as you have them, because I think that it could only help the district in the future. So I'll turn it back over to you, Cassandra, to see if there's any other questions.
Hey, Joe, I love what you said because I think it fits right into place with the question that came in about having assistant area directors and assistant division directors. You were mentioning bring things up. Well, those two roles are brought up already. They are listed inside of the district leadership handbook. I didn't mention them in the high level overview, yet remember, I want to make certain that you guys use that district leadership handbook. So whatever I might not have missed or might not have said rather, because of the interest of time, I want you to know that you can, if you are an assistant, or I should say it this way, if you are an area director or a division director, the district leadership handbook breaks down that you can have two assistants. One assistant that is helping you to focus in on club growth and club retention and member growth and member retention. You also have a second assistant for both area and division directors that you can put into place. And that one would be the assistant that helps you with getting your club officers trained, making sure their area council meetings, doing anything that helps with that member retention. So what I will make certain that I do, Joe, I'm looking through, I don't see any additional questions. I just simply see comments that I'll read through. Yet I want to make sure that what I do at this point is I officially pause or stop the recording.